M1 MacBook Air, launched in November 2020, marked a significant leap for Apple's laptop, as it was the first to feature Apple's custom-designed M1 chip, moving away from Intel's processors. The M1 chip, based on ARM architecture, delivered impressive performance improvements and battery efficiency over its Intel processors. The release represented the beginning of Apple's transition to Apple's Silicon, a shift that enabled the company to have a greater control over hardware and software integration. The M1 MacBook Air was well received, praised for its speed, energy efficiency, and value for money. So design-wise, the M1 MacBook Air is nearly identical to its Intel-based predecessor. It retains that classic wedge-shaped design that has been synonymous with Air lineup for years. The build quality is premium as always, thanks to its all-aluminium body construction. It feels sturdy and yet is incredibly light. Despite being so light, it doesn't feel flimsy at all. It's solid and sleek. The dimensions haven't changed much either. It's still razor thin at 0.63 inches at its thickest point, and tapers down to 0.16 inches. One of the most significant design changes in the M1 MacBook Air is the removal of the cooling fan. This fanless design is made possible by Apple's highly efficient M1 chip, which operates with less heat generation than traditional Intel processors. The absence of a fan does not mean that the laptop overheats. Apple's engineering ensures that heat dissipation is managed effectively through the aluminum body, allowing the laptops to remain cool under most workload. The trackpad is huge, accurate, and responsive to both clicks and gestures, and it feels very smooth when dragging files or zooming in on images. It uses haptic feedback rather than mechanical click, allowing for consistent response across the entire surface. The display is 13.3-inch Retina panel with a resolution of 2560 by 1600. It delivers crisp text and vibrant colors with excellent sharpness. However, it's worth mentioning that while the screen gets plenty bright for indoor use, it tops out at 400 nits. It's not the brightest display out there, so if you're someone who works outdoors frequently, you may find it a little dim. Alright, now onto the performance. This is where things get interesting. The M1 MacBook Air features Apple's custom ARM-based M1 chip, which integrates the GPU, CPU, and RAM into a single chip. This results to a huge leap in both power and efficiency compared to Intel models. Now, this M1 chip has an 8-core CPU with 4 high-performance cores and 4 high-efficiency cores. It also has an integrated 7-core or 8-core GPU depending on which model you go for. In terms of real-world performance, this laptop is a beast for its class. Everyday tasks like web browsing, media consumption, and multitasking are incredibly smooth. It handles everything without breaking a sweat. But what really blew me away is how well it handles more intensive tasks like video editing. It has been able to edit 4K videos in DaVinci Resolve, and it performs like a champ. These creative tasks are no more limited to just the higher-end MacBook Pros thanks to the M1 chip. Even the thermal management has improved drastically. Despite the fact that there is no fan in this laptop, it manages heat exceptionally well. The laptop remains cool to the touch during regular tasks and only gets slightly warm when you push it hard. Now, if you're into benchmarks, the MacBook M1 Air processor scores 2342 for single-core performance and 8349 for multi-core performance in the Geekbench 6 CPU benchmark. To put that into perspective, that is even faster than even the high-end Core i9 MacBook Pros from 2019, and for a machine that costs $699, that is just insane. Of course, performance isn't just about hardware. macOS plays a huge role here. The MacBook Air M1 ships with macOS Big Sur, which has been optimized to take full advantage of Apple's Silicon. Everything from the UI animations to app launches feels snappy and fluid. And while M1 chip is ARM-based, most macOS apps have already been updated to run natively on the new architecture. Even if you're using apps that haven't been optimized yet, they run through Apple's Rosetta 2 translation layer, and honestly, you probably won't even notice the difference. One of the cool things about the M1 MacBook Air is that it can now run iOS and iPadOS apps natively. So if you have favorite apps on your iPhone, there's a good chance you can now run them right on your Mac now. That being said, the experience with some apps can be hit or miss, especially since many apps are still designed for touchscreens rather than a traditional keyboard and mouse setup. Battery life is another area where the MacBook Air M1 really shines. Apple claims up to 18 hours of battery life. In my test, I've been able to get through an entire day, around 15 hours of mixed usage, without needing to charge. If you only use your laptop for 2 or 3 hours every day, you may not need to charge in the next 5 to 7 days. That is how good it is. The efficiency of the M1 chip really shows here. It's like nothing we've seen before from a MacBook Air. So if you need a laptop that can go all day without being plugged in, this is it. When it comes to ports, you're looking at 2 USB Type-C ports and a headphone jack. While this is standard for MacBook Air, it might be limiting for some users, especially if you're someone who relies on external display or has multiple peripherals. If that is the case, you're definitely going to want to invest in a good USB-C hub. So after spending a significant amount of time with the M1 MacBook Air, what's the final verdict? To be honest, the M1 MacBook Air is an absolute game changer. The performance it offers for the price is unmatched. The battery life is outstanding. The design is classic and yet modern. And macOS runs like a dream on this hardware. At launch, it was priced around $1,000, but now you can get it brand new for around $699. That makes it the best laptop you can get right now at this price point. That is all for now. If you enjoyed this review or found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comment what you think of the M1 MacBook Air. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more tech content like this. Until next time, take care.